I think we're ready.
We're on.
Unlike the last time that we podcasted together.
Yeah.
That was all made up on the spot.
It sure was.
This, I hope you're not about to make up everything that I'm about to ask you about you.
I could lie the whole time if I wanted to.
You could, and I wouldn't know, because
Yeah.
we've never just, we've had many a conversation.
Yeah.
For sure. We have sat down in a coffee shop or somewhere and had many, many 4-hour conversations about the creative industry and jobs and chasing dreams and goals and all these sort of things. But we've conveniently never sat down, and I've never said, Cappy, tell me about your birth. And we've never just taken it back.
We're good yappers, but we're not great at we get deep. I'd say
you and I, we've had some pretty honest and deep conversations.
But we've never gotten to the core. And I feel like your show is very much it's not this on its face, but there's a little small speckle of therapy in there. A little small sprinkle of therapeutic conversation.
I would fully agree with that. There has been many episodes in the past where either on air or after we stop recording, like the guest has been like, do I need to I feel like I need to pay you for the conversation we just had, because I just sat and just went through my entire life and all my feelings about everything I've done.
Stuff
for 2
is
hours.
different now. Things are different now that we've talked like this.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to get that going with you, and I'll bill you later for whatever we talk about.
I have $12.
This session is about $13.50. So there's the door.
Hey everybody, I'm in the red. I'm in deep, man. Please help.
Yeah. If you'd like to help Cappy's therapy fund for this show, hit the follow and subscribe or like buttons, whatever you're looking at right now, and it'll accrue enough.
I've started an OnlyFans where I do butt naked drum covers. So if you want to hear any song, drum covers, but with everything hanging out.
Yes,
$7.99 a month.
Sack on snare.
On snare. That's $10 a month. Yeah, that's the deluxe package. Sack on snare is my favorite style of drumming. There's overhand, underhand that like a lot of jazz musicians do. There's the Travis Barker where you're very fill oriented. Then there's sack on snare where your ball sack is on the snare.
Yes,
and
not a lot of people know about that one.
It's an underrated style.
Yeah, Cappy, can you tell me when you first figured out sack on snare? Drumming style. No, I am so excited to actually dig into the things you really do.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you have such a fun blend of, again, this is one of those episodes where it's funny because I got to set stuff up contextually for the conversation, but it's I know so much about you. But I love the blend of things that you're in the comedy world, but you're in the music world, and that came from getting started in music. Is that correct?
Yeah, big time. I've grown up playing in punk, emo, hardcore bands, what have you, since I was 12 years old in multitudes of different contexts, doing a lot of different things, and songwriting and the ethos of punk rock have always been very ingrained in me since I was very, very little, for better and sometimes worse as well. But that being so attuned to the music world for so long, actually I found out that, comedy in whatever subsect you want to do, whether it's stand-up, improv, sketches, whatever, music is a fantastic segue into any kind of comedy. Yeah. I think a lot of art forms are connected in a bunch of different ways, but I think music and comedy have way more. And I'm not even just talking about musical comedy. I'm talking about the two different subsects of music and comedy have a lot more in common and flex a lot of the same muscles more often than you would think. So growing up that way, I kind of found I always wrote, even when I was a teenager, from kind of a somewhat humorous perspective, watching, growing up with College Humor, Derek Comedy, Conan O'Brien, a ton of different influences that really left a mark on how I want to interact with people, always was going to bleed out into music. And then finally, as of around when the pandemic happened, when I started HummusVacuum, that's when those worlds collided in a way that I wasn't expecting. But the response was overwhelming for sure.
Yeah, and what's wild is I'm gonna say this, and I know whenever someone gives me a compliment like this. We always go to the realistic side and we're like, well, you don't know really what's, But I'm going to just give a blanket statement of like, I feel like HummusVacuum has like worked. Like, and so again, I know it's like, well, yeah, to a certain extent, but it's like, you did like gain a following and there's this mix of sketches that you've then turned into songs, and it's like, and it's all really freaking good.
Thank you.
And like, it is wild to see, like, I guess I kind of didn't pay attention to the fact that I guess it was only a handful of years ago when you did start HummusVacuum. Mm-hmm. So within that 5-year period, I would say, as an outside, person, again, I know how the creative world works, and it's never exactly working the way that we think it is. But I mean, like, you've gained a following, you've like all this sort of stuff. Like, it tapped into something. Yeah, I guess I could say.
Totally. I think for a long, long time, I was in bands that, rightfully so, and understandably took themselves very seriously. Mm-hmm. I was in a band where we were trying to be Thrice in the early November and wear gray tones and be very like, let the music speak for itself. And like, that works for some people. I was in a band where we were trying to be ska-core. We were trying to be Leftover Crack and My Chemical Romance at the same time, which was a weird beans on toast situation that sometimes it works, sometimes it isn't. But point being, through every band that I've ever been in, we've always taken it very, very seriously. And being a very, I guess, when it comes to making art, sometimes being an unserious person, and I don't mean that in like as an insult to myself, but I mean that as I always truly, I don't know how to not find humor in things first, and like using comedy sort of as a crutch to, and as a tool to go throughout my life. That's always been my reflex. Sometimes, that always collided with like what the bands I was in at the time's mission statement, essentially. Mm-hmm. And I love all the bands I've been in throughout my life and all the musical projects, and I've had so much fun, and it's been learning experiences throughout the whole thing. But HummusVacuum was the first time I genuinely just said, why don't I be unapologetically me, completely in its entirety, do whatever the hell I want. And it seemed to have worked in ways that I wasn't expecting as well, because I started this as really, as a lot of people do, as just sort of a thing to try out and just like a hobby. And through time, it just started as me making bits and memes and musical comedy, and now it's morphed into a full-on band that's touring and putting out singles and doing genuine shows that I think people haven't seen before as well. So it's a strange journey that's had way more ups and downs than I thought, but it is one of those things where it comes from a long line of, like anything, like any successful thing, it comes from a long track record of trial and error until something clicks, and then you realize, oh, I had to not abridge myself. I had to not discount who I was for a long time, and then things start to work.
Yeah. Were you, with HummusVacuum, was it like comedy sketches first that like had musical elements, and then it evolved into, I know now obviously it's evolved into a full band.
Yeah.
But then was the kind of the phase 2, I guess, like, I'm going to make full songs that are comedic and stuff.
Sure. I think, well, it started as me just fucking around. Truly, like, no plan, I just knew that it was late 2020. I knew the world was in a strange place, and I just knew I needed to. I stubbed my toe.
Oh, and I do remember reading about that.
It was a big deal.
We all took a few months of a break to honor your.
Oh my God,
that's right.
It was in the papers. It was in the trades. It was rough, and it hurt for months.
Right. I'm so sorry.
But when I stubbed my toe, I realized I had to like try some. I just knew that something needed to change, and I needed to hone a new format. And TikTok at the time was still kind of this nebulous thing that not everyone truly used or understood. It was a very different world back then with TikTok in 2020. But around that time, trying to hone in those tools and trying to figure out what this new platform was, I could tell that this is just where entertainment's going. And at first, it was really just me throwing crap at the wall, doing whatever I thought was funny, doing whatever worked, and then knowing that, like, hey, I have a track record of a decade plus of musical experience and videography experience, realizing I could morph all these worlds together and do something. And then, yeah, as it evolved, like writing silly songs, I started to release them mainly just because people asked for it. Not necessarily because I had a grand plan for it, but a lot of sillier songs I ended up just releasing because every other comment was just like, when's this on Spotify? Where is this on Apple Music? I need this on Tidal right now or whatever. And so I was like, I just need to give in to what people want. And as time has gone on, and I've recognized, okay, I am a genuine artist that isn't, I don't want to be reliant necessarily on musical comedy forever. There's always going to be a place for bits. There's always going to be a place to say funny stuff in music. But at the end of the day, I do want to make sure HummusVacuum is an act and a band with longevity that where its shows can be fun and have a comedy tilt to it, but isn't necessarily reliant on humor in the music. And I think there can be a good equilibrium for that. Mm-hmm. So for a long time, I was definitely just throwing stuff at the wall. Like I really approached it like a YouTuber in a lot of ways. I approached it in the sense of like, I don't want to have a niche. I don't want to have, I don't want to be known for just one thing. I'm going to try a bunch of different stuff out, see what works, see what doesn't. And honestly, at the end of the day, I still sometimes feel like I'm figuring out what the fuck I do a lot of times. But at the end of the day, it was so much more fun. It was so much more fun just trying stuff out and not being contained to any format, being contained to any specific rubric or guideline, and just making stuff I wanted to, whether musical or not. It was so much fun. It was the best.
Do you feel like as the project has evolved, you've been able to keep that harmony? Like, or do you find yourself tiptoeing into like, okay, time to like force an evolution into this, and I need to take this more seriously, or I need to like up my quality of this because like, do you ever find yourself kind of like tiptoeing away from that? Like, let me just kind of frolic and make art as I continue to change and grow as an artist and all this sort of stuff. Like,
yeah. Well, I think a lot of that comes with the weird balance of this being a band and like a musical project, but also me being a content creator, to where those two things, a lot of times I feel like either hold hands and sing Kumbaya, or they fight violently with each other. And there's days where it's one or the other. Another thing to consider around that question is how much platforms have changed since 2020, and how the landscape around content creation, social media, and how we consume music and comedy and news or what have you has looked so different from the Wild West of like 2018 to 2021 or so. Mm-hmm. And I've had to constantly adapt as well to sometimes pay the bills to like make sure that that things are working properly. But to your question, like, I think finding the equilibrium of both of those things is never an easy thing. It's truly not. I want to say like, hey, this has worked. I've had videos and pieces of content that I didn't give a shit about and honestly like hated, that got tons of numbers. Classic. that I get stopped on the street for sometimes and asked if you did this, and I'd say yes. And I'm appreciative of anybody or anyone who recognizes me or likes what I do, no matter whether it's a deeply serious song I did or a dick joke. Like it's appreciated either way. But like, there's so many facets of what I've done to where I can't even always pinpoint what comes next or what I am and what I'm going to be. And that's the beauty of it too, to where right now I feel like we're in a very cozy pocket of HummusVacuum is a band fronted by me that also does comedy and has fun and doesn't take like our image too seriously, which I really appreciate, because the bits and memes and comedy are always going to be there. But at the end of the day, what I know, what I love is songwriting, is playing shows, is energy in those shows, and that's not going to change. But yeah, I think to answer your question succinctly, which I'm not good at.
Nope. Hey, this is the place for just the rants and the rambles. So take it away.
This is yapparuin right here. But essentially, like I think that as time has gone on, I've stayed very true to what I want to do, while at the same time attuning myself to what these platforms want to see out of creators, for better and for worse. Sometimes, I will admit, but it's just what has to be done sometimes to, keep your audience engaged and keep your numbers up and keep the bills paid sometimes.
Right.
So
you and I have had many conversations in the past about that exact thing of what it feels like to create art and share it on the internet, and then what it means to, well, is this content? Is this just art? Is this just a thing? Like, how do I battle an algorithm that algorithm that has no taste but is deciding, what's being shown to who, and then if it's not catching on in the first 5 minutes, then it's deemed unworthy. It's like, we've had countless conversations about that, and I've been finding myself, I feel like we haven't talked about this in just long enough that the internet has changed enough to where I've got another new battling of emotions about it. I am in like a super, like, almost at times feels unfortunately rebellious phase where, like, I'm genuinely kind of so fed up with, like, playing the game that I'm like, in one part of it you could sit and be like, oh, you're shooting yourself in the foot by, like, you gotta play by the rules to get the stuff to catch on. But at the same time, I am like, I just want to do what I want to do. I just want to make things the way I want to make them. Like, yes, every once in a while, if I see a trend or a style of video that I do enjoy, or like, oh, I do want to create in that method. Cool, I'm going to take that trend and put it in my tool belt. I'll use that. But I'm like, I'm so almost adamantly just like, I don't want to follow the formula. I'm just going to share what I want to share, how I want to share it. And the monster isn't slowing down. The machine isn't slowing down. It's changing more rapidly than ever. And that's not, I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom. Like, you absolutely, it can be used as a proper tool to propel what we do. But I'm learning, for me, I'm like, man, like, this isn't a part of what I want included in how I create or share with the world. Like, I'll play the amount that I feel like playing. Otherwise, I'm not going to force things into some certain context.
Right. Oh my God. You just brought up a feeling that I had a conversation with myself like 2 days ago, and it's around, it goes into one little thing about content creation that I've learned helps a lot. What these apps want from you is not just to post a lot, and I mean a lot. They also want to show that you care about other people, whether in your niche or other accounts, like in your world necessarily. They want to show that they want to see that you are an active user on whatever platforms you're on. And so if you go, and it helps, I'm not going to lie, but spending 15 to 20 minutes a day on TikTok or Instagram, just scrolling, liking, leaving a comment, liking, leaving a comment, liking, leaving a comment on something, that's going to help you. But when I first found out, and I do want to disclaim, like, I do enjoy scrolling and finding new talent that is like in my niche and in my world. I love finding new bands. I love finding artists that I vibe with and people who like the same music I do. It is genuine. It comes from a genuine place. But there also is that sense of like, now consuming content as a creator is a chore in itself, and it's a task, and it's something that more or less helps you on your creative endeavor no matter what. But like, as I've made that a part of my sort of media diet, just because it is what it is and it does work, it does help. As I've made that a part of my media diet, I've had to wrestle with myself around, am I doing this because I enjoy the content or because I'm just playing the game? And I think I've come to the conclusion, no, a lot of it I do enjoy, but I wouldn't do it as much if I wasn't playing the game at the end of the day. And so I despise the amount of guidelines that there are to become successful on social media, whatever that might mean, because success is such a different metric for so many different people. And I think being on social media in the capacity that you and I are, we have become extremely desensitized by what these giant tech corporations want from us, and whether they say it or not, and just how we have to play by rules that are so outside of just like community guidelines, but we have to play out by rules that are so nebulous and so not ingrained in stone, and have no real, and they're really not like, they're not actually, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, they're not easy to actually like pin down to see what they want. Like
tangible, obtainable, like
tangible things that they like and don't like.
Yeah.
You have to play by these rules. And I too am kind of at a point where I am realizing, like, if you just, people, especially young people, like, they can sniff out authenticity so easily. And they can tell when you are just playing a game, or you're just sort of pandering, or you're, doing something for the wrong reasons. There is like some other sixth sense that a lot of people who are in the creative world can sniff out of you. And I think at the end of the day, being as authentically, unapologetically you as possible, whether an app likes it or not, or whether algorithmically it works, you're going to find maybe not necessarily a quantity of people who like it, but you're going to find a small section of quality people who like it and fuck with what you do. Yeah. And that's, it took me a while to really recognize that's what's more important. For a long time, I went after virality. I went after the number. I really because for a while it paid the bills. For a little bit, I was doing it full time, and it really was the thing that these companies were throwing money at creators and really trying to get their platforms to start like a creator base. And at that time, at that sort of gold rush, if you will, that's what was working. It's just making sure the numbers are up. But I really wish I can go back in time to 2021 me and be like, not every post has to be perfect. You don't have to always chase trends. You don't always have to worry about if a video gets above or below something. You really just need to remember that you are creating for you first. And when it becomes your living, it's very hard to dissect those two from each other.
Yeah.
And so for a long time, I had that mentality of I need to go viral every time or else I'm dead in the water, which isn't true. It's just not true.
And that's a lot of my stubbornness now is especially in the age range that we're in, where it's we kind of grew up with social media. We saw it rapidly change from it went from social media to now it's just about attention.
Yeah.
It is just about and that doesn't mean that there's zero social element or staying connected or discovering. You said the discovery thing earlier of no, hey, a lot of my scrolling still is I want to find things I think are cool.
Yeah.
I would honestly say I have that balance pretty clear with my social media where you see a lot of people have the conversation a lot where they say, I got to get my screen time down. I scroll too much, blah, blah, blah. I have this weird comfortableness with I do scroll a lot, but I'm not I don't feel like it's a detriment to my life.
Yeah.
Because I'm also making sure that the things I'm looking for or interacting with or saving or sharing or whatever fit the ecosystem of my life of is this cool art or music or thoughtful pieces or meaningful things or whatever it is, whatever the algorithm is then going to curate more for me. I'm going to be intentional with I'm not going to doom scroll the shit that I don't honestly want to doom scroll. I'm going to find out about the crazy, chaotic or unfortunate things one way or another.
Yeah.
I don't want my feed filled with them. And so whether, that's doom scrolling, that's its own thing, but just in general of general consumption on social media, I do have this strange, I I'm fine with the amount that I scroll because I know kind of what I'm looking for when I'm in there. I know what I'm consuming when I'm in there.
That is that's admirable. And I've tried and been very on and off about this thing I call passive and active scrolling, to where what you're describing is like hamster wheeling, sort of doom scrolling or whatever, sort of letting it feed you and not being an active participant in whatever you're looking at, and just sort of completely brain off, goldfish brained, just letting content happen to you, to where you're probably not absorbing it. You're probably not going to recall. I watched probably maybe 40 videos today. Could not tell you a single fucking one in this moment.
Yes.
And it happens to the best of us, but I have tried in the past and get back into it time and time again, where I do look at it's a practice of diligence, but where I do active scrolling, to where it's every single post I see, no matter what, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, whatever I scroll to, almost having trust in this algorithm or whatever, saying okay, this thing knows me more than it knows myself in some ways. So I'm going to actually kind of trust that a little bit. And so with everything I see, everything I scroll, I need to spend at least 10 seconds minimum looking at it, reading it, getting every bit of information that's from it, whether it's a dumb meme that means nothing, or if it's a long notes app editorial thing about, I don't know, big oil. I don't know, but It could be anything, but just making sure that whatever pops into your face on that screen, it's there, kind of having faith in the fact that it's there for a reason maybe, and you owe it to yourself to absorb what's there. Having an active approach to online scrolling can be very healthy, but 95% of us don't do that. And who can blame them? I don't do it all the time, for sure.
Right.
And to what you were saying as well around how it used to be how social media has evolved. I mean, the core of it at first used to just be keeping up with friends and family.
Look at my food I posted.
But now it is its own streaming platform. It's now fully gone. It's an entertainment platform now. And keeping up with people you love is just one feature of it. And when you really get down to the core of what people who aren't creators, people who are just normal, everyday human beings going out their everyday life, who just want to, make sure that their friends from college are doing well, and keep up to date with their having weddings or babies or whatever, being a part of this giant ecosystem of creators and advertisers and sponsors and things like that is not interesting to them. But their attention is also such a valuable commodity that the fight for it is so digitally violent in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, we've gone so far, and I knew this back in 2020. We've gone so far out of what the original intent of these apps were, that now I don't even think these apps know what the fuck they are anymore. TikTok is such a bloated parody of itself. Instagram and Meta, whatever Meta does, they are not innovators. They just cling on to whatever innovation happens on Snapchat or TikTok or YouTube or whatever, and they just implement it themselves. There's no innovation left, and all of it is just creating new problems that we can then solve with their solutions.
Yes.
And So point being on social media is now it's a lot of these apps are a bloated parody of themselves, and their usefulness just in everyday life, unless you need another form of entertainment, is the most minimum it's been in a hot minute.
Yeah. And because everything has shifted from social to attention. It is like you said, that is the commodity. That is the that's the at this point, it's the most valuable thing. That's what everything's being built around. That's why insane people with insane opinions are going to blow up over, just kind of rage baiting for no ultimate reason other than they don't even maybe even fully believe the movie review that they just put out, but they're going to sit and be like, that movie's the worst piece of shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Just so then the comments are filled with arguments that then raises the attention of their post. And it's again, we're tapping into like the dystopian portion of our conversation here, but it is ultimately like really still rooted in reality. Like, I do think there still is room for what we're talking about to be intentional with your use of social media, whether you are creating for it or on it or whatever for an audience, or you're just using it to consume and to scroll and to hopefully maybe keep up with your favorite sports team and movie star you love, like whatever it is, or your friends. There is this like sliver of like, I still do think you can have control over kind of how you use it, but it still doesn't prevent me from like constantly being angry that I am like being berated every day by like every single thing that wants my attention. And yes, I'm also a creator, so it's like, yeah, I'm going to promote this podcast. I'm going to share clips from it and hope that people check it out and think it's cool.
Yeah.
But to your point earlier, I'm also so stubbornly doing things like this out of just personal joy and doing it my way that like, yeah, I'm not going to like, unless you say something crazy that I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let's put that out. It's like, we're not looking for like the headline clickbaity thing. It's like, yes, we're going to be sharing opinions and thoughts, but it's also like, let's just have a fun conversation. And I want to share that fun conversation that then people might be interested in something we talk about, or you yourself, and they just check it out. So yes, is this going to appeal to millions of people? I'm not designing it to do that. And that rebellious feeling of like, I don't like the idea of, as a creator or an artist of any kind, I rooted in me, I really, really hate being told what to do no matter what. So now that it's like megacorps being like, yeah, use our platforms and do it this way, I'm extra like, absolutely fucking not.
Yeah,
How about that?
TikTok knows I'm a creator, of course. So like every now and again, I'll get like, I'll get a video that's like a content coach or something being like, here are the 3 things that if you're not doing, your video is basically fucking dead in the water, dude. And like, these people mean well and they're trying to make a living and they probably have valuable information, but I do have that innate, immediate, reactive feeling of like, no, fuck you, get out of my face, please, no.
I don't want to be sold to some more. I don't want to. And again, I'm not saying social media is all doom and gloom. Like, it's insane. It's a monster. It's a crazy machine. But like, I feel like over the last couple of years, I have refocused my intention with what I do, like for the platform or for an audience, but also what it does for me. Really trying to make it work for me.
Yeah.
And honestly, that a lot of that comes from like my last Instagram and Facebook being hacked and deleted, and me realizing that none of it was real or mattered anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like when you lose a profile that's like 10 years worth of like your life and creations, and there's no way to get it back, and but also while that profile doesn't exist online, your real life keeps going.
Yeah.
It's the craziest concept. And so literally that was a click for me in that moment. A couple of years ago, like when my stuff got deleted.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously I was like, what the fuck? Why? But then pretty quickly I was like, wait, things are still rolling. I'm still me. I still have connections and friends, and all this stuff still exists, and I can just make another profile. Like, is it fun? Like, do I want to be hacked and deleted again for anything I do? No, I don't. But there was this like sense of like, at least personally, it was my personal profile. It almost sort of like set me free a little bit, where I was like,
sure.
Oh yeah, like the last 10 years of my existence on the internet has been wiped. Well, now what do I want to do?
Yeah.
All right, let's be more intentional with not only how I consume, but how I create.
Yeah.
So like, that was like a little bit of an unlock for me, where I was like, this is a reminder that this isn't real. But the truth of things are not always what they seem online, 10 out of 10 times has been proven to me that it's true. Mm-hmm. The amount of the people that I've talked to that I'm like, dude, it looks like business has been booming, or like, oh my God, you got that sick interview in Forbes, or oh my God, you're creating so much content and it's going viral all the time. That's so sick. Everyone's like, yeah, like I'm really grateful for that opportunity, but like, yeah, dude, I don't have any money. Or like, yeah, I'm job searching right now.
Yeah, bud.
Or yeah, and that again, that doesn't mean that no one can be successful. There's not levels of success. Like, I'm not trying to be negative about it. But the reality, I'm pointing out the reality almost in a positive way of it kind of my perspective on it, it set me free.
It is so hard to make your living off of anything in media, videography, film, what have you. Doesn't matter what, to where the primary place that you showcase it gets wiped, and then not feel like your life is ruined, even though that has always been way more an appendage of your actual life. It's an elixir to what you actually do in real life. It's not your life. It's not who you are or how you exist. It is just a highlight reel. It is just a portfolio piece. It is just a overall. It is a tool in your holster of who you are, and to have that happen is devastating for sure, in no matter what context. But there is a sense of like reminding yourself, or there is so much value in having something like that taken away, and then remembering that was never real life. That was never real life. That was a part of your life, and having that taken away, though it sucks, is still a good reminder. And this is going to sound pretentious, but like it does kind of almost, I imagine it would almost feel like a reminder of your own humanity and your own. It goes back to just, hey, touch grass sometimes.
Yeah, it is just the reminder that so many people are saying nowadays, like, hey, social media isn't real. Remember that.
It's really not. It's really fucking not.
Like, it can be a showcase, a highlight, whether for good or bad. It can be faked. It can be inauthentic, but it can also be very authentic. And you see all these people sharing whatever if they did something in their day, if they created a piece of art, if they played a show, if they freaking made a movie, whatever. It's like, yes, there is a part of all of us that needs the attention that can maybe bring some success. We all would love for something to click. But again, it's like I've had friends that have gone super duper viral for something, and they're like, man, that was cool to ride that high for a second, but nothing came of it.
My dude, we are at a point in being online to where having a viral moment of sorts guarantees nothing. Guarantees nothing for you. I feel like me and like a lot of other people who I know, like Natalie Burdick, Soupy Garbage Juice, Playboy Man Baby. I'm name dropping like hell right now.
I love those names also.
They sound fake, don't they?
Yeah, I was gonna say you could be making those up, and I'd be like, wow, nice.
DJ MC Pancake, Darling Darla. No, like
Empty
tons
Bottle.
Of yeah.
Love
MC Empty Bottle. Shout out, R.I.P. MC Empty Bottle.
Oh, man,
dude, he was a real one.
I can't believe.
Pour one out. Well, you can't pour one out because the bottle's empty.
But the bottle's full in our hearts.
I hope his family doesn't see this.
Actually, I hope they do. Give me some more views. Sorry, but yes.
All I'm saying is like that sort of graduating class, who I'm grateful to call friends of creators. I think we were kind of like 2020, 2021, it was kind of like the last time that you could take a viral moment and turn it into what resembles a career. Yeah. It used to be like if you have a really insane talent, or if there's something that you did that was noteworthy on YouTube, then it seemed to be a much more streamlined way to find an audience and to find people that care. But now that attention is so divided and so dispersed, everybody can have a viral moment, and that it guarantees fucking nothing. There's no money in it now. There's no career in it now. Unless it's a talent that can be monetized, unless it's something that can be truly milked, and you don't get tired of it and you love doing it, then never say never, right? But at the end of the day, like, virality is worth so little nowadays. And I'm not saying that it can't change somebody's life. I'm not saying that it isn't valuable. I'm not saying that if I got a video tomorrow that did 50 million views, I'm not saying that wouldn't rock.
Of course.
But at the end of the day, if it's not something that you want to ride on for the rest of your life, then it's not a career builder. It's just a fun little 15 seconds that you can say, hey, this is a fun little fact about me. And it's, I think in a way that kind of is a good thing, in the sense that we've become desensitized to what a viral moment is, and we recognize that it doesn't mean that you have to change your whole life because you got 15 million views on a meme or something. It just means you got 15 million views on a meme. You know?
The authenticity can still be the thing that kind of pokes its head through.
Of course,
this is the thing that we're noticing matters. Kind of like you said earlier. The bubble almost busted rather quickly almost on content creation.
Absolutely.
And influencers and all this sort of stuff where like it grew, it expanded, and it blew up to where, like you're saying, there's a lot of people now that like, yes, plenty of people love stupid, dumb things that matter none to the world, but also I feel like there's a healthy and healthier growing amount of people that are like, this seems fake, this seems inauthentic, this seems like you're just trying to sell me something. I don't like it. I don't care.
Sure.
Never mind.
I remember the day very vividly I quit my job to do content full time. And it was a really it was a very liberating feeling for sure. I forget what video it was, but I had a video. I think it was like right around the time I had this one video that was kind of it was a funny but corny bit of it's time to cosplay as a person who has their shit together, and it was just me like in a suit, pretend like the bit was just saying it's time to cosplay as someone who has their shit together, and then calling up my friend and saying, hey guys, you guys are getting drinks after work? I'm definitely going to have enough energy for that. And then another jingle played or whatever. It's a very silly meme, but like the point is like that sound, like the little musical bit on TikTok, that sound went bonkers nutty viral to where it was thousands and thousands of people using my audio for their own videos. And I remember it was around that time where I was working this bullshit sales job around that time, like doing digital marketing sales. And I drove to this conference that I was supposed to be at, and I was already 2 hours late. And I'm like, I'm behind the wheel just thinking like, I can't be at this conference and pretend to be a part of this anymore. I can't pretend to hear anything that this person's saying as they're talking to me at this conference. I can't posture as someone who has a career in this anymore. So I got to the conference, went up to two of my bosses and said, I have to quit. I'm sorry, I have to. And then content creation was all my whole life after that. And it was a great feeling. It really was. I don't think I would have been able to do it. I don't think I'd be able to do it if it wasn't something I did consistently, because I had viral moments before that, multiple, to where I could have quit my job before then, but realized but even in that moment recognized this is just a good video that's doing well. Mm-hmm. That is 20 seconds of someone's day that they might forget later down the road. But something about that video in particular, made me realize, I can't do this anymore. I need to focus on it and just see where it goes. Yeah. And then it morphed into, doing skits and musical comedy, but now is morphed into being a full-on band. So I'm stoked.
Right. And I think even a moment like that is ultimately probably less about the content itself or the virality, and more so about getting any sort of proof of self-belief that then is going to really put us in that mode of, I cannot go in, I can't go cosplay as someone who really cares about this job.
Yep.
It's not like, I'm going to bank on this viral moment now and hell yeah, I'm out of here, bro.
Yeah.
It is any sort of a reminder of wait, this is just, I am not being true to myself by continuing to do this job that I ultimately probably do not care about.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember thinking on the way there, I was trying to do a video a day. And I remember thinking instead of thinking I'm 2 hours late to this conference, my bosses are mad at me. I was thinking driving to this conference is going to take time away from me recording and filming and laying down tracks or whatever and doing the thing. And I remember thinking in what world am I supposed to not pursue this to its fullest extent at this point?
That is my stubbornness.
Yeah.
My brain yells that loudly to me all the time, to an extent where to my maybe living benefit, it would be good if I could just have a normal job and pursue the things on the side until something works well enough. But I'm when I tell you, I can't really put it into words, but I literally, if souls are real and it's in there and whatever our existence is, I am telling you, mine screams to me that like we have to do things that bring us joy.
Yeah.
Like we exist here to do all these different things that we want to do with other people, by ourselves, whatever. These are the things we want to do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes, the world is set up where like you got to pay bills, you got to be logical with stuff. So yes, of course, that's a part of it. But like when I tell you like that soul, that stubbornness, that whatever really, really takes over in so many cases to where like I do wish I could just turn it off sometimes and be like, I'm going to go back to Lowe's, an old job that I had years ago. I'm just going to stock shelves for 8 hours a day for 40 hours a week. And then I'm going to have so much fun creating on my days off. I love that. Like, I wish I could do that really bad. But I know that that's not what I want.
Yeah.
That is not true to me. That is not literally why I exist. It is not to do those. And I know that that's such a memeified thing on the internet now, right? Everyone says, I don't exist to sit in a cubicle and pay bills until I die. Like, everyone's aware of that. And that is ultimately, again, it's like how we're still in our dystopian conversation here.
Yeah.
But like, that is how everything's set up. But like, for sure, the more that I grow up, the more life that I experience, the more creative endeavors that I try, and more communities that I find myself in, and all this sort of stuff, I feel like I just keep tripling down on, I want to do things that truly fulfill me. I want to do things for myself even. And like, that's something I'm curious of, like, what's your take on like the Rick Rubin style thought process of like the audience comes last? Because I'll be honest and say, I'm all about that. I really am. Like, I understand like, well, you gotta, let people digest some things, make something consumable. But like for me, I am like, yeah, I do think it comes last because I want to do things because I want to do them.
Yeah.
And then, hey, I sure hope you like them.
Sure. I think Rick Rubin is an anomaly of a man, but I think his philosophy is both brilliant and then also is still implanted at a time where you could do that and it could still be fulfilling, and labels would more likely come to you than the other way around. I think his mentality is planted in a valuable and good and overall, net good way of thinking, but doesn't consider the landscape we're in right now, because I do think about my audience.
Yeah.
I don't think that sometimes I think it's selfish to not consider them. Only in the sense that when I'm making something, obviously what I'm trying to say and my fulfillment does come first. It took me a while to realize that and truly digest it. But to completely leave your audience outside of the conversation, especially when you're like a musician and you play music that these people sing along to, and sometimes they wear on their sleeves, and they really want to support you as not just a creator, but an artist, to where they're, you might become a part of their personality. I'm not saying that's what I am or what I do, but like,
that connection.
Yeah, for sure. I think they have become more a part of the conversation around what a creator does more than ever. I don't think that's a bad thing. Yeah. I think a lot of times, I love my audience. I love the people that interact with what I do and find it fun and can understand where I'm coming from on a lot of things. I really enjoy that. But to leave them completely out of my line of thinking when I'm creating something, I think is short-sighted. But they do, I wouldn't say they come last, but they definitely don't come first.
Yeah. And I think that's also how I kind of see that. It's like, I'm never not considering what an audience, but it's not number one.
Yeah.
I'm not just looking at something like, what do I think someone somewhere would like? I'm definitely like, hey, if I'm telling a story through a short film or doing a podcast like this, I absolutely want people to think they're interesting and cool or scary or funny or whatever it may be. I want them to enjoy it. I want them to come along for the ride.
Yeah.
But I'm on the ride no matter what.
More often than not, right. I'm not just thinking about the audience being kind of a vague term, like, because there's your audience, like, the people that are always going to be there in your comments or listen, streaming your stuff, or who are always going to be foundational to who you are. I'm oftentimes thinking about the people who don't know about what I'm doing yet. The sort of heady, I don't even know who they are yet kind of people. The people who aren't even my audience yet, but they're people who are floating in the ether that I know if they come across this, they'll like it. I'm more often than not thinking about, foundationally what my audience would like, but then what a potential audience thinks way more.
Yeah.
Because that's what's important for me for growth. But at the same time, I can't let that guide me because that's not, I can't let that make the decisions. I can only allow that to be one little chocolate chip in the cookie.
Yeah, it's a part of it. It's a part of the recipe, but it's not. It's not why we're making the entire thing.
No.
What was the first thing that you? Not so much like that viral video that first made you go quit a job, but like even before, like what was the first thing where you were like, wait, HummusVacuum's starting to kind of, oh shit, okay,
sure,
this is kind of catching on. This is gonna work.
The first video that ever really got attention that I realized like, okay, this could morph into something. This could materialize into something tangible. We don't play it live anymore, but it's a song called Forklift to where it's based off of a very real moment that happened in my life in 2021 where...
Was the forklift hitting your car?
Yes, exactly. So I used to drive like a crappy little Kia Forte, and then out of nowhere, while I was on my computer one day, I hear a giant crash, boom, and then my neighbor knocks on my door and says, I don't know if you heard or saw, someone hit your car. And my Kia got hit by a landscaping company that was at our apartment complex with its big, like, what do you call them? Like one of those beds that like attaches to the back of a truck that can hold like a bunch of equipment.
Like a big flatbed?
Flatbed.
Yeah.
And so that had hit the back of my car, and Kias are made cheaply and there's styrofoam in the cars. So it just crumpled like nothing. And so finding out, hey, my car got totaled in the dumbest fucking way, I realized like, okay, no, if I'm going to do TikTok, this is the kind of stuff to make content out of. Like this is life. And I'm just going to turn lemons into lemonade and make a song out of it. And I made this very catchy pop punk little ditty about it, about how the landscape company backed their car into my car. And then in return, I want them to let me use the forklift, and then I'll forgive them. It's a dumb premise, but it's fun.
It's good.
And I think it has a great chorus. And then I posted it, and it took off. It really took off. Like, and especially for a smaller account, which at the time I probably had like 10,000, 20,000 followers. At the time, that was like, oh, wow, this is fresh. And it hit like 500,000 views or something in a very short amount of time, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe. And then it started that cycle of like, please release this, make this a song, release this now, because I'm realizing like, okay, like I'm a decent enough songwriter to not where I know how to write a chorus, and I can do it in a way that is still authentic to me and catchy, but I can also be goofy about it. And that felt really, whether or not that was what I want to do the rest of my life, at the time it felt so refreshing. Mm-hmm. It felt so new, like what we were talking about earlier, after coming from playing in 10 years of bands where we were taking ourselves so seriously and wanting wanting to truly have a hard-shelled image, just being able to say funny stuff to a emo punk tune or whatever was so refreshing for the first time. And that's when I was like, okay, there's something here, and I have to keep digging, and I have to keep exploring, and use this as a channel and an outlet for a stream of consciousness more than anything, and just kind of make what I feel like making that day.
See, and that is like such a fun talent, I feel like, to have, and honestly a quality in you that I admire, even on a simple term of like, one, being able to lemons to lemonade, right? Okay, my car got hit, blah, blah, blah. How do I now turn this into a funnier, outrageous story that's like, all right, something annoying, let's make it funny. So, something like a stand-up comedian or something like that would do, right? Let me turn this story into some art that'll make some people laugh. But one, being able to turn that into a song is such a talent. But also even down to like, and this is such a stupid thing to point out, but like even your like, hey everybody, what are we going to do today? Instagram story things of like, dude, when I read like the 4 multiple choice options you give, I literally am like, how does this thought even cross someone's mind to even like...
It's my favorite bit.
I literally... and that itself, like, I genuinely am like, that is a talent. Like, that's like, like just to be able to come up with just absurd, stupid things every couple days or whenever you post them. And, like, they're all so specific, their own, like, because every time, like, all of your multiple choice things could be their own bit on its own.
Sure.
And it's like to even be coming up with that amount of technically premises as often as you do
with limited characters. You can only post like 40. If I had it my way, I would post paragraphs of like doing this to then go here and then do that and then. But I have to do it in a very like specific character amount.
Yes,
so.
And it makes it funnier when the sentence just trails off and you're like, where the hell else would this go?
Yeah.
But it's like even that in itself. Whenever I see those, I literally like I'm like. How the hell did you come up with these 4 options? Yet again, that's the 3rd time this week you came up with 4 more insane options. And I just feel like that is like that's what call it comedic chops or whatever. Like I just think like that is such a fun damn quality.
Thank you. No, I think not to think too deeply about it, but like I love that bit because it is first off, it's the only real place where democracy exists. Letting my audience vote on whether I want to replace my guitar strings with red vines or play math rock to a bunch of burn ward victims or something stupid, like something stream of consciousness bullshit. But like, like that is my favorite kind of content to where it is very stream of consciousness and very, you could tell like this person had this idea right then and there and they needed to act on it. I never like draft those. Those are always spur of the moment, like whatever I can think of in 5 to 10 minutes. Like that's just what it's going to be.
I feel like it would take me 45 minutes. Like, and I do and love improv comedy, but I still think if I was doing something like that, I'd be like, what's a funny scenario? Let me see. Like it would take me an hour to make a 4-question multiple choice thing.
It's also a thing of like, I deeply care about like who cares about me truly, like whoever, whether they are like passive accounts that just happen to like my stuff from here and then, or if it's somebody who watches all my videos, has been to my shows, truly like fucks with what I do. Wherever on the spectrum you lie here, I want to know that you're there, and I want you to know that I want you to be here, even if it's just through a silly dumb little poll that you're just going to click and scroll away for like 10 seconds. I still want you to feel like you can have some kind of active participation in what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And it might manifest itself in the silliest of ways, but like that's always been my thing around doing that bit of like, I just want people to feel like I want to feel this is interactive, and I want to feel like there is a sense of me reaching out to you in some kind of way, to know that you're there and to know that I'm also here for you. In a way that makes no sense and has no actual merit.
Right. Choose wisely as to how I will get arrested.
Exactly.
Today. This is our connection. Yes. I also need to say, I mean, there's a lot of your songs that I like super enjoy. I don't know why, but Krassu is my favorite one.
Krassu. Yeah, that's
talk about a stream of consciousness song. I feel like it's literally just one big run on story. Like I just love the like I'm gonna very quickly essentially sing the plot of a Scooby-Doo episode. Yeah. And here we go.
Yeah. It's an Uncharted game for sure that like just kind of plopped out of nowhere. That it's weird because that song blew up way more than I thought ever intended to. That was another one of those just like, all right, go to my idea board and just kind of check that off the list. And the stream of consciousness element of that, of like how just chaotic it dissolves into, is I love that kind of shit, to where things go to their nth degree of extremes and have no relentlessness of how silly things get. That song blew up out of nowhere, and it's at like probably a total of, I've reposted it maybe a handful of times. It's probably sitting at like 9 million views at this point. And that was another one where it was like, please release this right now. And I'm like, that's when releasing that was like, okay, this is a 1-minute song. Like that is just a pure bit. It's just a bit but I'm going to be probably playing it at shows for the rest of time because it is so universally loved in a lot of different subsects. And like, it's strange to have that be the deal, but I do love that bit because it is, that was such a, oh my God, writing that I remember was such a weird, flash in the pan, caffeinated Adderall moment that took 2 hours to like write and record. And then I woke up and it was done. And you probably understand that when you're kind of in like in an editing hole and you have tunnel vision completely. And if anybody were to have disturbed you in that moment, you would have like been like, get out,
right?
Get out.
Yes.
It was kind of from there to where I really just, I made the dumbest thing I could as fast as I could in the most concentrated way that I could.
Right.
And it seemed to have done really well for itself. And I like, in a way, I do love that song. I don't want anyone to think differently. That is, though, my Radiohead's Creep. In a way,
it's just like you're like, come on, that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Again,
that song. Yeah, that dumb bit.
Well, unfortunately, I'm one of those people.
I get it. I get it, and I appreciate anyone that loves it or gets a giggle out of it. I really do. But it is also one of those things to where it's writing that was a very specific time in this project and that career my career where I was throwing comedic stuff at the wall through like an emo pop punk lens and then just seeing what stuck. And that song's gonna always be a part of me. I love it. I recognize that. But at the end of the day, there are times when I'm just like, you know, I have other songs too that aren't aren't a minute long and aren't me running out of breath talking about the dumbest scenario it could possibly be. The best part of that bit is that when I first posted it, Tinder themselves commented on it.
Perfect.
Which I forget what they said, but I remember I that felt like a full circle moment to me of like, all right, you have this is a checkpoint in my career for sure. This is a safe state.
Live, you just need to turn it into a bit where you start playing the song, you actively run out of breath. You're like, hold on. And you just bring it up on Spotify and just hold the song to the mic for the rest of the time.
Oh my God. I want to do like what Riff Raff did on Warped Tour so bad. Riff Raff I forget what year he was on Warped Tour, but he did this thing to where there were some days he never played a song. He never did any rapping. He never did a single thing. He just took out a lawn chair on stage, let his own songs play while he ate a sandwich and just kind of watched the crowd go off. And I'm just like, fuck, that's genius.
That is so good.
That's brilliant. Exactly.
What like going back a little bit and digging into things like what do you feel like your maybe creative roots were in? Was it really like, was music like the foundation that like growing up? I know you mentioned some of this stuff earlier, but like growing up, was it like music is the love and I just so happen to be funny and have that part of my brain that can just kind of make funny situations out of anything? Or was there like an early love for comedy as well, where you were like, I want to do some form of comedy growing up, but I also love music? Like, I guess kind of take me back. Let's hop in the time machine. Like, what is growing up like? Like, what's that kind of creative route look like for you?
Sure. It started as like, I'm not going to say that this is the nucleus of it all, but like I started very much as like as any like young, like punky kid would, to where it started with Sum 41 and MXPX and Blink and Green Day, and it's, all those foundational core bands that then kind of leads you into me getting into like Black Flag and 7 Seconds and Void and Minor Threat and Bad Brains and all those foundationally like 80s hardcore bands, and then that gets me into, then I trail off into loving emo, to where I was listening to a lot of My Chem, a lot of Armor for Sleep, a lot of early Fall Out Boy. Like, music was always the main trail, but along the way on that trail, recognizing like the things that move me most are the things that make me laugh. I think one of I know it's not comedy and it's not necessarily even funny, but like the trend of when early 2000s, mid 2000s emo bands had really, really long song titles, your Panic at the Disco, your Fall Out Boy, whatever, like I always recognized like, okay, that is funny. Like that is very funny that like that we can make a whole run-on sentence a song title.
Right.
And like there's a tongue-in-cheekness there that I think gets underappreciated a little bit. And that's just like one little berry on the tree of like me recognizing that music and comedy are cousins, maybe even brothers or sisters or whatever. But as I was growing up, like, you know, there wasn't that many like outlets for both those two subsects to align. And so my interest in comedy always just kind of stopped at whatever I was watching, whatever I was creating. Me and my friends would, like a lot of young kids did with camcorders, we would make little sketches and we would try to start like bad YouTube channels where the videos were 360p and have jokes that probably don't hold up today and are horribly acted and stuff, just because we watched Smosh growing up and we watched you know, all these YouTube channels that sort of raised us in a lot of ways. I was very much like a product of like early to mid 2000s YouTube, you know, and so that always seeped its way in. But like growing up, like music was always the main mission for sure, but comedy writing, performing comedy was always in the back of my brain to some degree, to where it was always outside, rubbing at the window, putting its face up against the glass, just being like, hey, let me in, man, let me in. And I always thought that like, I think, you know, when you're young and you're in middle school and high school and you think like, you know, you want to make sure you want to preserve as much as you can so you don't get made fun of and you don't get, you know, attacked and
right.
beaten up. So I think you tend to abridge yourself a little bit. And I think for a long time, having that comedic sensibility, I sort of repressed for a little bit. To where I like stopped going to improv camp and I stopped going to like theater camp when I was very young, and stopped going to summer camp, all in the pursuit of I want to be home. I don't want to be away from my guitar ever. I just need to hunker down on like songwriting. But yeah, in the back of my brain, like comedy has always been there. Comedy has always been my reflex. Comedy has always been my the thing I default to, whether it's good or not. I always like, not even comedy necessarily, just humor and lightheartedness is always the sword in the sheath for me, and I don't know how to be any other way a lot of times.
No, you didn't grow up in Columbus, did you?
I grew up in Cleveland.
Okay.
A suburb of Cleveland called Lyndhurst.
Gotcha. Okay. Because I guess that, I feel like, how did we even get connected? Was it through like music scene stuff? Dude. I really don't remember.
I think Steve.
Yeah.
Steve Carino.
Yes.
My ride or die, my best pal through and through, Steve. I have a feeling that just through them knowing people in music and you doing music videos and knowing other people, I think it's just a weird 6 degrees of separation game.
Right.
That I don't remember how we got connected, but it's
Steve, one of the first 10 episodes of this show.
Nice.
That's way back. That was a long time ago.
God,
it was originally through like music scene and all that sort of stuff. So when did you move to Columbus?
2020, when the pandemic hit. I was seeing someone at the time when I was seeing someone that she got a job in Columbus actually a few months before the pandemic hit, and I was still living in Cleveland. We had done long distance for a long time because she went to OSU, I went to Kent, and we had been like driving back and forth. And then for a few months we lived in the same house in Cleveland with a bunch of other friends, and then she got this job in Columbus where she moved back down, and we were just doing long distance again because we figured, hey, fuck it, like we've done this before, we'll do it again. But then the pandemic hit and we were like, well, might as well start a new life together. And so I moved down here, moved in with her, and I've had no interest of going back to Cleveland ever since. I love Cleveland. I adore Cleveland. It's my home. It's one of the best cities. It's one of the most underdog cities on the planet. It's got so much heart. It's got so much to do. But Columbus is just, there's so much fucking more to do here. It's just bigger. And I love this place too.
Yeah.
This is home now for sure.
Do you feel like obviously you're already involved in like the music scene, so like being able to kind of like go from like, oh, I'm involved in these bands who obviously have, you know, connections and friends and all sort of stuff to Columbus, like maybe both from like a music scene, or even like have you dipped toes into like what you would call like the comedy scene here in Columbus? Or
For sure.
do you feel like you're kind of on this island of like, I'm kind of both. So yeah, I play shows, but I don't know, I kind of do comedy. Like I know we have mutual, comedian friends and stuff like that. Like, what has that been like to kind of blend into the entertainment communities here?
I've started to try and dissect those two into two separate, distinct worlds. For a long time, it used to just be me and or HummusVacuum doing either a full-on music show or a full-on comedy set. And I've realized that from at least and I know this is very like inside baseball bullshit, but like from a marketing perspective, I think it's a much better idea to separate the two and have them exist and thrive in their own different worlds, as opposed to have them be like this sort of conjoined twin to where they can't separate. And but yeah, for a while it was more just me. It was me under like the HummusVacuum name, just doing comedy shows, coming on, doing like improv sets. Our mutual friend Hannah Romes, I've done a couple like hashtag comedy shows, and just dipping my toes in a multitude of different ways. But I've wanted to make it very clear that like just because I started with like a following or like have this already established thing underneath my belt, I don't want to feel like or be treated like I'm not going to say better, because that's obviously not true or what I'm trying to say, but like I don't want to feel like I haven't done the work. I don't want anyone to think like, oh, you have a following, like you've already done this, you can already get on big shows, or you're
getting to do this because of the following, not because you're just doing the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I hate that set. I want to do my 10,000 hours and whatever hobby or love or passion I'm in. So I have dipped my toes into comedy, and that's a muscle that I think is less flexed and less worked out than music, but that just comes with time. Yeah. I've been playing in bands for 15 plus years now, so like I think that's just naturally what it is. But when it comes to doing any comedic endeavor, there's so many avenues and there's so many things that you can do that I'm trying to finally like sort of separate the two in different ways. And I think it's, but right now I'm very much focused on the music, getting on a record, establishing HummusVacuum as a genuine band that tours and plays big, powerful, anthemic emo punk songs first, and comedy comes. Comedy is there. Comedy is always going to be ingrained in the DNA of it, but it's not the thing that draws you in first. It's the thing it's the songs, it's the messaging, it's the catches, it's the hooks, it's the choruses that make sure that you have interest in the first place.
Right. We're a solid band first, but also you're going to probably laugh during our set.
Sure.
Like that. Yeah. It's like, that's like an additive. Comedy is the additive.
Exactly. We'll draw you in with genuinely good songs and good music and good shows, but then we'll have you stay for goofiness. You know?
But I also think that's like, not that that's a brand new concept.
No.
But I have always felt like, I mean, breaking it down to its bare bones, like a good banter between songs is a really valuable thing. That there's not a lot of bands who have that.
That's like what a huge portion of this band's, I guess, ethos or philosophy is like growing up and going to shows, watching bands who are super good and so talented and like, have the audience, by the neck when they're playing their songs, and then try to stumble through banter and sort of just do the necessary evil of crowd work or asking, how's everyone doing tonight? Go check out the merch. How about those other bands? Like we've heard them all. We've heard every anecdote, and that's okay. That's just part of it.
That's the thing.
That's a part of it, of course. And I'm not discounting or demonizing any bands that that don't have good banter or whatever, or don't know how to talk to a crowd. But there's something in me that through all those years, watching bands stumble through talking to a crowd in between songs, I've always felt like, no, there can be content there. There's gaps that can be filled. There's things that you can say to keep people's attention and make sure people recognize like, oh, this is more than just a band. This is an entity for all kinds of entertainment.
Yeah, there's more room for entertainment.
Yeah,
in these things. And these are normal people. Mm-hmm. Look, they're joking about that stupid thing that I thought about. Yeah.
And when on the other side of it, like when I did see a band that had really great banter, I honestly that gave me more of a reason to want to go buy their merch or follow them. Because it gets so much to the core of who you are. Your songs represent you as an artist and as a musician. Then the banter in between that represents who you are as a person and who you are as a human being. And even if it's just in these short little bursts of benign nothingness where people say, how's everyone doing tonight? Thank you, sound guy. Thank you to all the other bands. Thanks you for being here. Even if it's just in these generic, overused phrases that I use and that every band uses, every artist uses, it still gives you a semblance of who they are, and people cling on to that sometimes just as much as the songs. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the philosophy around HummusVacuum is making sure that those sections of the show do not go to waste.
Yeah,
like those can also be hooks. Those could be things that draw people in and allows them into a portal of your own personality. And I think it's worked.
Yeah,
for the most part.
When you're thinking about like future of HummusVacuum, like obviously anything can happen, anything can change. Well, you and I could both feel differently about so many things in 6 months from now.
Yeah.
But like when you're thinking about like the art or the growth or what like shape you want it to continue to take, like obviously its evolution has kind of been like, okay, like comedy sketches, then little jingles, now some full songs that are just kind of funny, now songs that are funny but have these deeper meanings in them a little bit more, and now shows and tours. Like what do you foresee, or like what are you like hoping the trajectory? And I don't mean the like more and more people find out about you and you're more popular. Like, yes. Of course, yeah.
Number go up.
Yeah, like we want those things.
Number bigger.
But like for you, maybe that fulfillment side, like
sure.
What do you want to continue to get out of things like HummusVacuum? Or are there adjacent things outside of that you're like, I'd like to do more comedy in this form, or I would like to make a web series that's about sketches and all this sort of stuff. Like
we released a song called "Whoops, I Think I Ruined My Life" 2-ish weeks ago or so.
Which is good, very good. Go
check it out. Sir. Thank you, sir. Good plug, great plug, excellent. We released it, and this was a very important song to me because it's about a time in 2023 when everything went wrong in my life. Everything. Ran out of money for the first time in my life, like truly out of money, not just low on money, out of money. $30K in debt. Broke up with a partner I'd been with for 8 years. The platforms that I was on had changed for a long, long time. Completely changed the rules to where I wasn't making any money on them. Lost a dream job of mine as well, like outside of HummusVacuum or whatever. Was just going through genuinely the worst time in my life, to where then I had to move out, live in my car for about 4 to 5 months or so. 5 to somewhere around. It was all a blur. I ended up having to live in my car and sleep on couches for half a year or so, give or take 3 jobs all at once, stop posting entirely because I couldn't access the creative parts of my brain because it was all survival mode at that point. There was no room to be funny. There was no room to be creative. There was no literal room for me to have my guitars and amps and computer in for me to lay ideas down if I wanted to have ideas. So it was all bare bones, survive, get back what you had. So I had to give that up for a while. So that song was about 2023. And we released that, and I'd say it's my favorite chorus I've ever written. It's the most authentic thing I've ever written as well, without any BS. I say that very genuinely. And then it leads into what you asked around like what's next. I feel like this is very much a turning point in the sense of I am now so thankfully not about the numbers anymore. I'm very much recognizing, understanding, digesting, marinating in the fact that we're getting followers that aren't here for memes or bits anymore. We're getting followers that like our band, like us as artists, and then memes and bits are just cherries on top. Because when you have like a more serious project that is buried underneath just like bits that you do that aren't necessarily the main thing that you do, you're not going to get a community. You're going to get accounts that follow you. You're not going to get followers that care about you. You're going to get accounts that follow another account. And I'm not discounting or disparaging any of my followers or anyone on any of my pages that liked something I do in passing and then click the follow button. Like anyone who's here, I'm stoked on and I appreciate and love. But there is that conversation that's necessary around the quality of followers is now way more important and valuable than the quantity of followers. And I am truly at a point where it's all about the music and it's all about the touring that we're doing. We're going on a tour with some friends in a band called Excuse Me, Who Are You? And Moose Creek Park down to Fest in Gainesville, Florida in October, which is a fantastic DIY fest, one of the most beloved punk rock festivals in the whole country. We have some dates next year that are getting finalized as well. Like touring's happening. Touring is like my number one thing at the moment, to where that's like all I've ever wanted to do is just play shows, all the bullshit around it, whatever. Like playing shows is the number one goal. And so you're going to expect to see a lot of that going forward. But in terms of, what's next? Like bits, memes, comedy is always going to be there to some degree. I'm always going to do it like when under the HummusVacuum name, like when it makes sense. And I feel like there's an organic idea, but we have evolved into something that has much more longevity than that and has a lot more backbone comparatively to just me dicking around on the internet. So live shows, singles, genuine songs in the works, like that's what it's about.
Yeah. Do you feel like that balance that you're beginning to strike, where you still get to be funny, you still get to make the skits and the sketches and the jokes and the banter on stage and all this sort of stuff? Like comedy is very much still a part of it, but like you said, it's a cherry on top. And realistically, the real foundation we're building is I'm just getting to write fun freaking songs.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like you found that harmony? Like, do you feel like that harmony is maybe more balanced or clear than it has been before?
Objectively, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I spent so long, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, like I spent so long just trying to come at this from just a content creator's perspective, where the numbers are really all that matters, to where now it's like the numbers matter, but in no way are they the main character anymore. It's way more about the quality of followers we get. It's about the quality of listeners we get and the people who are here for the long haul, not just people who enjoyed one thing I did one time and then pressed the follow button.
Yeah. So whether it's that, maybe that is a big lesson, or maybe it's something from like, the rebuild year that you just, shared of kind of everything effectively crumbling for a little bit of time. When you look at your entire journey, like what do you feel like the biggest lesson is that you've learned?
Biggest lesson I've learned. Oh fuck, this is the part where I'm supposed to say something really profound and and useful and helpful. I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that we kind of touched on it already, but I think it rings so true. That social media is an appendage of your real life. It is in no way the main character of your outward appearance and your overall human marketing, as I'll call it. Like it's just a piece of you. When it's something that helps pay the bills, the lines blur and you kind of lose yourself to whatever the observing eye is, and you kind of lose the ability to think for yourself in some ways. But I think the most important thing I've learned is that there is so much zen in not giving a fuck what the number is and just posting because you liked it, because it made you giggle. At the end of the day, your account or whatever, you should be able to watch that video again and giggle every time, if not every other time, at what you did. Or if it's not comedy, at least still feel the same way you did when you made it in the first place. If you lose that, then you did it for the wrong reasons. So I think that's one of many lessons I've learned that I remind myself every day.
What's your favorite thing you've uncovered about yourself so far? Because we're always changing, we're always evolving. I'm sure this answer could be different 3 years from now, right? We're always going to learn something new. But so far up to this point, what's your favorite thing you've learned about Cappy?
My favorite thing I've learned about old Cappy here is that is that you don't need a niche. You don't need a niche whatsoever. Niches are bullshit. I think algorithmically and from a perspective of consistent growth, a niche doesn't hurt necessarily. If you're in tech and want to talk about the new iPhones that are coming out, hell yeah. If you're a painter and you want to do ASMR Twitch stream paint sessions, hell yeah, do that every other day. But in no way does that mean that you are on a more set path than anyone else. Having a niche is so not necessary. You can throw shit at the wall and still develop an audience as long as you show up for your audience and as long as you can remain consistent to some degree in a way that's comfortable, in a way that like doesn't burn you out or make you feel like you're extenuating yourself in an inauthentic way. Having a niche is so not necessary. You can truly just be a variety creator or a person of variety of any sort and still make just as much of an impact as someone who has a very definitive lane. And I think that's something it took me a minute to really not just say out loud, but like feel in my gut. And I cherish that fact now.
Yeah, I love that. Mm-hmm. Before we begin to wrap up, because I got one final question for you, but is there anything major that we haven't touched on? Is there a big missing chapter in the story that we haven't covered, or anything that like if once we cut this recording, you're like, oh shit, how did I not share the story of this? Like,
oh man, I think I will tell you the reason this whole thing exists in the first place. I love this band immensely. I love the band that I was in before HummusVacuum, which is called The Grievance Club. I love The Grievance Club. I love everyone in The Grievance Club. I love everyone who's ever been a part of it. The reason that kind of HummusVacuum even exists is because one of my closest friends who I was in that band with, around the time of the pandemic, I was just making stuff for our band and just kind of making various just fun things, just because there was no tours, there was no shows. In 2020, there was just little to no content that we could actually create. So I was just making dumb stuff, and understandably and totally justifiably, we had a conversation about they told me I don't know if I want to be like a TikTok band. And I recognized that and thought to myself okay, wait, so I'm just going to take what I've been doing and put it elsewhere and put it in a different basket. And I still did Grievance Club, and I love our songs, and I love what we did, and I cherish every single bit of what we did. We came out with a record called Joymaker, which is still one of my favorite pieces of music on the planet, and I'm more proud of it than anything in my life. But that band ultimately ended up not doing much after the pandemic, just because the pandemic did what it did. But point being, once I realized okay, doing what I'm doing is not fitting in this box, and then just making a small pivot to just doing it for myself, that's all it took. So I guess the genesis of a lot of what I'm doing here is just a small change, a small pivot that you can try that doesn't take that much effort, that could change the course of your fucking life. And it doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be monumentous. It can be so benign. But once you just start doing something for yourself as opposed to maybe the collective that you're doing it for, everything can change.
Well, the answer to this question might be similar to that one, because that answer would go pretty well for this one, I think. But I'm still going to toss it your way.
Go.
I end all these episodes with the exact same question. Mm-hmm. So now it's your turn. So right now we're going to play pretend.
Yes.
I want you to pretend that everybody in the world can hear you speak. We're throwing logic out the window. They can hear you. They can understand you. You get this one moment, big movie moment here, to share one thing with everybody. What are you telling them, and what do you really want them to hear more than anything as we close this episode down?
Two things. One, quit your job, join a band, buy a van, go to a bunch of cities with a bunch of sweaty dudes, play to 5 people, sell no merch, get completely boned by the promoter, get ghosted by them, drive to another place, sleep on someone's floor, drive to the next city, play to 8 people, sell 1 shirt, sell 1 CD, see that as a W, and then do that till the end of time until you're finally whole. Because I don't think there's anything better in life than being able to share what you do with other people. Sometimes what I do, and I think I speak for a lot of people who make music or do content, I speak for a lot of people when I say this is sometimes a lonesome thing. Sometimes we're just at the helm of, or just at the whim of whatever we're able to do, and sometimes we don't have people helping us. We don't have people to bounce ideas with, and sometimes we're just alone in a room conceptualizing things by ourselves. And I think the second that you are able to actually share that with somebody in any capacity, that's when it actually becomes art. That's when truly it becomes its final form, and you can't, art can't exist without people that you love enjoying it as well. And then the second thing I'd have to say is, it's been 1 week since you looked at me, cocked your head to the side and said I'm angry. 3 days since I laughed at you. I still have, I forgot the lyrics. It's been 1 week since you looked at me, cocked your head to the side and said I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me, said get back this, I'm back and see me. 3 days since the living room. I wish that I didn't tell you, but I did you yesterday. You've forgiven me. And it'll still be 2 days till I'm saying I'm sorry. I'm not done.
Every Boeing person.
I guess I did channel some Bare Naked Ladies in that song, didn't I?
You know, it was there.
It could have been there. I think it was there.
It was there. Cappy, we talked a lot about social media, a lot about creating a lot of things in general.
Yeah.
Before we officially say goodbye and sign off, where can people find all the stuff that you do?
You can find us at HummusVacuum999 on Instagram, HummusVacuum on TikTok, HummusVacuum on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp. Bandcamp's very big with me right now, very important. You can find me anywhere. Thinking about, Blue Sky. Blue Sky. Mm-hmm. Twitter and or X, if you want to call it, if you're a fucking dork. We barely post on there anymore. I've gone into Twitter retirement.
You know? Yeah.
Oh, just the best people you know, for sure.
Yeah, just all the best people in the world.
It's so full of the
post
best
over on Twitter.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but you can find me anywhere. You can find me digging through the trash at your local Krispy Kreme. They throw out the donuts at the end of the night, man.
It's a waste.
It's such a waste. They're still fresh. They were baked that morning.
Totally fine. Throw them in the microwave. No big deal. Well, Cappy, I'm glad that I found you sitting across the table for me to make a... Dude, this was such a fun episode.
I love you so much, man.
I appreciate you. I love you. I love every time that we get to sit and, we finally... we recorded this one and the rest of the world's going to get to hear it, but the amount of times that we have just sat and talked about all the travelties of life and all this sort of stuff in a coffee shop somewhere. I truly appreciate all of those moments in time. I am so happy that we got to sit down and do this, man.
No coffee shop is safe from us, bub.
It's not. It's not. They're going to
From
hear
our yaps.
every single thing that we're going through in our lives. If you're in a 3-foot radius, you're going to know
You're going to get an
about it.
earful.
Yeah, but hey, now we got the world. Now we got
Yes.
the world listening to us and talking about all the things.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me, cocked your head to the side and said I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me, said get back to, come on back and see me. 3 days since the living room, I realized it's all my fault but couldn't tell you. Yesterday you've forgiven me, and it'll still be 2 days till I say I'm sorry. Hold now, hoodwink. So stop, think. You're gonna fade out now, right? Think you're looking at Aquaman. You're summoned dish to this, which all over like a